Welcome to the video for skill number 74. I can calculate the volume and surface area of cones. Alright, for this skill we will need the variables S for surface area, L for lateral area, B for base area, and then we also use slant height and height again. A cone is formed by a circular base and a curved surface that connects the base to a vertex. And I've drawn two cones here, one of them being the right cone, and that is a right cone because the vertex to the center of the base creates a right angle. And then we have the oblique cone, where the vertex is not directly above the center of the circular base. The three key formulas that we have are for right cones, and we can find the lateral area, the surface area, and the volume. And the lateral area is basically the area of this curved surface, and then the surface area would be the total surface, so curved surface plus the base, the circular base, and then finally volume. So lateral area is found pi r times slant height. The surface area would be lateral plus the circular base. So if you wanted to write it in terms of radius and slant height, you have pi r L and pi r squared, because the area of a circle is pi r squared. And finally we find the volume of a cone by saying 1/3 pi r squared times height. It should be noted that the volume equation works for any cone, not just right cones. Alright, I've got two examples. Our first example is a right cone with a height of 15 inches and a diameter of 16 inches. And we need to find L, S, and V, or lateral area, surface area, and volume. And it says round to the 100th. And this will generally be the case for areas and volumes using the value pi. So we know the height is 15 inches because it's given, and they tell us a diameter of 16 inches, which means the radius is 8. I've pulled out a right triangle which is hidden within the cone and put in the radius of 8 and the height of 15, and that allows us to find the slant height, which we need for our calculations. The equation for lateral area is pi r L, and we need that L value. So we use the Pythagorean theorem, 8 squared plus 15 squared equals slant height squared. And we find that slant height to be 17. And again, that is a common Pythagorean triple, 8, 15, 17. So our lateral area is pi r L. We plug in the value of r equals 8, and we plug in the value of slant height equals 17. So pi times 8 times 17 is equal to 136 pi, or approximately 427.26 square inches. The surface area is going to be L plus B, and we already know our L is 136 pi. Our base is pi r squared, or pi times 8 squared, and 8 squared is 64, so that's how we get the 64 pi. If we add those two together, we get 200 pi, which means our surface area is approximately 628.32 square inches. Finally, we want to calculate the volume, so we use the equation 1/3 pi r squared times h, and we plug in a radius of 8 and a height of 15, and this equates to 320 pi. Evaluating that, we come up with a volume of approximately 1005.31 inches cubed. On page 74C, we do the same process for an oblique cone. The oblique cone has a height of 5 feet and a radius of 3 feet, and we need to find the lateral area, surface area, and volume. When we go to calculate the lateral area, because it is oblique, we do not have enough info to calculate the lateral area, which also means we don't have enough information to calculate the surface area. So for the oblique cone, we can only find the volume. And this volume has the same equation, 1/3 pi r squared times h. So we plug in our value of 3 and a height of 5, and we find that this equals 15 pi, or approximately 47.12 feet cubed. Alright, the key ideas and concepts for this video: we should be able to recognize what constitutes a cone, either a right cone or a oblique cone, so we should be able to know the difference, and then calculate the lateral area, and the lateral area is going to be equal to pi times radius times slant height. We should be able to calculate the surface area, which is L plus B, or if you wrote it in terms of R, you'd have pi RL plus pi R squared. And then finally we should be able to find the volume, which is equal to 1/3 pi radius squared times height. And again, the volume works for all cones, and then the lateral area and surface area works for only right cones. And finally, you'll notice that a lot of times with pyramids and cones, we need to find the slant height, and that requires us to use the Pythagorean theorem, because oftentimes we have our height and we have our radius, or apothem maybe, and we need to find what the slant height is. So we use the Pythagorean theorem, which is side squared plus other side squared equals hypotenuse squared. In this case, it would be 6 squared plus 8 squared equals L squared. And we find L to be 10. Alright, this concludes the lesson. Thank you.